Deuteronomy chapter 16. Shamor et horeth Habib. Observe thou the month of the Abib. Wa'ashita Pesach liyahweh Eloheka. And thou shalt effectuate the Passover to Yahweh thy God. Ki b'hodet Habib. Hoshiaka Yahweh Eloheka Mimitzrayim Laila. Because in the month of the Abib, Yahweh thy God brought thee out from Mizraim by night. V'davachta Pesach Yahweh Eloheka Tzona v'bakar. And thou shalt sacrifice the Passover to Yahweh thy God, of flock and of herd. B'makom atarei v'har Yahweh l'shaken shemotham. In the place which Yahweh shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Lo toachal alai v'hameth. Thou shalt not eat upon it leaven. Shivat yamim toachal alai v'mathot lehm oni. 7 days thou shalt be eating upon it unleavened bread, bread of affliction. Ki b'hipazon yashata mehersh Mitzrayim. Because in haste thou hast come out from the land of Mizraim. L'marna tidhkor et yom shehetcha mehersh Mizraim kol yemei hayecha. For the sake that thou remember the day of thy going out from the land of Mizraim, all the days of thy life. V'lo yera leka shor b'kol gvuleka shivat yamim. And leavening agent shall not be seen for thee in all thy border 7 days. V'lo yalin min habashar atar tidbah b'gharb b'yom harishon laboker. And from the flesh which thou sacrificest in the evening, in the first day, none shall remain to the morning. Lo tuchal lidboh et hapasach ba'ahad tharaka atar Yahweh Eloheka noten lach. Thou art not able to sacrifice the Passover in one of thy gates, which Yahweh thy God is giving to thee. Ki im el hamakom atar yivahar Yahweh Eloheka l'shaken shemo tham tidbah et hapesach b'gharb. But to the place where Yahweh thy God is choosing to cause his name to dwell there, thou shalt sacrifice the Passover in the Gharb, Kavor Hashemesh, in the coming of the sun. That means in its descent in the sky, as you see it going down. Mo'ed Shedeka Mimithorayim, the appointment of thy going forth from Mizraim. Uvishalata, and thou shalt roast. Wahakalata, and thou shalt eat. Bamakom atar yivahar Yahweh Eloheka bo, in the place which Yahweh thy God shall choose in it. Upanita vaboker, and thou shalt turn in the morning. Wahalakata leohaleka, and thou shalt go to thy tents. Shethatayamim torkalamathot, 6 days thou shalt eat unleavened breads. Wabayom hashavi'i atharataleya weheloheka lohatasha malaka. And in the 7th day a detaining assembly shall be for Yahweh thy God. Thou shalt not effectuate a work. Shiva Shavuot Tisaporalach, 7 weeks thou shalt number for thee. Mehahel Hermesh Bakama Tahel Lisapor Shiva Shavuot. From the beginning of the sickle in the grain, the standing grain, thou shalt begin to number 7 weeks. Wa'ashita haggashavuot leYahweh Eloheka, and thou shalt effectuate the festival of weeks to Yahweh thy God. Misata nidavata yadaka ataratiten. The sufficiency of a freewill offering of thy hand, which thou shalt give. Katra yabarakaka Yahweh Eloheka, like that Yahweh thy God is blessing thee. Washamachata lifnei Yahweh Eloheka, and thou shalt rejoice before Yahweh thy God. Atta webinaka webitaka, thou and thy son and thy daughter, wa'abdaka wahamataka, and thy manservant and thy maidservant, wahalewi atrabitharaka, and the Lewi which is in thy gates, wahagera wahayatum wahalamana atrabikarbaka, and the sojourner and the fatherless and the widow which is in thy midst. Bamaqoma atrayibharya weheloheka leshaken shemotham, in the place which Yahweh thy God is choosing to cause his name to dwell there. V'dacharta ki eved hayita v'mithrayim, and thou shalt remember that thou hast been a servant in Mithraim. V'shamarta v'ashita et hahukim ha'ele, and thou shalt observe and thou shalt effectuate these statutes. Hagga hasukot ta'ashelaka shiva'at yamim b'osapaka migoranaka w'miyikabaka. The festival of the booths thou shalt effectuate for thee 7 days, in thy gathering from thy threshing floor and from thy winepress. W'shamachata b'haggacha, and thou shalt rejoice in thy festival. Ata w'vinaka w'vitaka, thou and thy son and thy daughter, w'abdaka w'hamataka, and thy servant and thy maidservant, w'halewi, and the Lewi, w'hager w'hayatom w'halamana, and the sojourner and the fatherless and the widow, atarabitharaka, which are in thy gates. Shiva atayamim tahogaleya weheloheka bamakom atrayiva haryahwe. 7 days thou shalt keep festival to Yahweh thy God in the place which Yahweh is choosing. Ki yabarakaka Yahweh Eloheka b'kol tevuataka ub'kol ma'aseh yadeka v'hayita achshamech. Because Yahweh thy God is blessing thee in all thy produce, and in all the effectuation of thy hands, and thou shalt be only rejoicing. Thaloth pa'amim bashana yera kol dhkurka et pnei Yahweh Eloheka b'makom ater yivahar. 3 times in the year every of thy male shall appear to the faces of Yahweh thy God in the place which he is choosing. B'Hag HaMathot, in the festival of the unleavened breads, U'b'Hag HaShavuot, and in the festival of the weeks, U'b'Hag HaSukkot, and in the festival of the booths. V'lo yerah et pnei Yahweh rekam, and one shall not appear to the faces of Yahweh empty. Ishakamat natayado kavirakat Yahweh Eloheka atranatan lach, a man as the gift of his hand, as the blessing of Yahweh thy God, which he hath given to thee. Thofatim washotarim titan laka b'kol tharaka atar Yahweh Eloheka noten laka lishabataka. Judges and officers thou shalt give for thee in all thy gates, which Yahweh thy God is giving to thee, for thy tribes. وثابتوا إتهام مثبت صدق, and they shall judge the people a judgment of righteousness. Lo mithapat, thou shalt not incline the judgment. Lo takir panim, thou shalt not recognize faces. V'lo shohad, and thou shalt not take a bribe. Ki hashohad ya'awer ene hakamim, v'yasalef divrei tzadikim, because the bribe is blinding eyes of wise men, and it twisteth words of righteous ones. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof, righteousness, righteousness, thou shalt pursue. L'maranatihya v'yarathata et harsh, for the sake that thou live and thou possess the land. Atar Yahweh Eloheka noten lach, which Yahweh thy God is one giving to thee. Lo tita'alka asherah, thou shalt not plant for thee an asherah, kol esh, of any tree. Ethel midbah Yahweh Eloheka, beside the altar of Yahweh thy God, which thou shalt effectuate for thee. V'lo hetaqim leka matzeva atar shaneh Yahweh Eloheka, and thou shalt not erect for thee a pillar which Yahweh thy God is hating.